Hey, welcome back to the Artie Lange Show. I'm sitting here with Darrell Hammond, and we were talking about our parents a little bit. Your father was a World War II hero, a veteran.
Yeah.
He was a guy to medal.
A lot of medals.
And he was a guy who struggled with letting it show that he might have had some trauma. I mean, listen, you talk about World War II. I have trauma from watching specials on the History Channel about it. Like, it's true. Like, I have trauma if I watch a whole thing about Hitler and the Nazis on the History Channel. Like, being there and doing what those guys... There was some on today about the guys who landed somewhere in Japan in the Pacific. And they miscalculated the tide, and they only had 3 feet of water, and they had to get out of the boats instead of landing on the beach and go 700 yards with all their equipment in the water. They had to wade through it to get to the beach while Japanese guys are shooting at them, and then they get there and they have to stay there overnight. I mean, you know, it's
it's funny because I was telling you guys off the air. At the end of his life, he only had like 3 months to live. Right? Yeah. He had cancer, and he was afraid to go to church because, you know, when you get cancer, for one thing, and the other thing, you're like on oxy and you know, fentanyl and stuff like that. You're not thinking right. And he was like afraid. He wanted to go to church. And he, you know, in your head, you're thinking, I killed all the, and I know for a fact, I mean, I'm sure there were times he just didn't take the prisoner.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't.
I mean, he just didn't.
Yeah, right.
You know, and so he was all guilt-ridden and confused. You know, I couldn't talk to him.
Well, you combine that with religion and the angst that gives you. I mean, the number 5 down the list is thou shalt not kill, and you're over there like killing everything that you see. But so you got to get in his head that it's justified killing.
So I brought this cop down that I know from the Bronx. He's beautiful, and to talk to him, you know. And I remember, you know, my father's like, you know, it's 3 months to live. He's like, I wonder if I should have a martini, if I could have a martini. This guy's like, Max, have a martini. have a martini.
Do what you got to do.
And a chicken wing. You understand? I mean, look, Darrell, give me a drink. Give me a drink. So they're out in the yard, and my father, and he's trying to tell my father that he did good.
Right, sure.
And he's like confused. He's 86. And they just cut his ear off. I mean, it was really gruesome. Yeah. So they're out in the yard drinking martinis, and I'll never forget, I opened up the glass door to the patio and heard them, and I heard him say, Max, they made furniture out of people.
These were bad people.
He goes, Max, it's not like some conscript soldier fight for his country. I'll give you that one.
Right.
But these guys made chairs out of kids. You understand? These guys had to go. That's all.
Yeah, they had to go.
They had to go. That's all, Max.
They did.
So at the end of his life, he he got it. You know, it was nice.
Right. Well, that's good. I mean, so do you think being raised by somebody like that affected you in any way? You know.
I mean, waking up in the middle of the night, screaming, running around with a German Luger.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Now, how old were you when you figure out, okay, you have this talent, you want to get into stand-up, and you can do impressions and everything? I mean, as well as you do them, because they're dead on. They're about as dead on as impressions get.
I didn't figure that out till I was pretty old. You know.
Right.
I mean, I was like 29. I didn't even really figure it out. I decided. Like, I waited tables, and I did off Broadway and all that stuff, and I said, you know, I think I'd just rather be poor and do the thing that I want to wake up to do every morning.
Yeah.
So, you know, I did that. I started practicing. I moved back in with my parents.
Right.
You know,
where are you from?
Melbourne, Florida.
Right,
and my dad and I drink. I would, in the morning, I'd get up and work for practice. And, you know, and I heard about this radio station that was looking for someone that could talk like other people, and I sent them a little cassette I made in my bedroom, and they hired me.
Now, so that's a great thing to discover stand-up when you're acting, because that's a way to make money. Like, I remember taking acting classes when I was doing stand-up, and all the actors had no money, but I was like, I got money because I can do zanies. I can go on the road and make some cash.
That's right.
So when you figure out you can do stand-up, that's more fun, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got to New York, and you know, there's kind of a prejudice against guys that did impressions, so I had to quit doing impressions. So it's sort of ironic that I got discovered at Caroline's, doing one line as Bill Clinton, at a time when Phil Hartman had just a week earlier decided to retire.
Yeah.
And someone, I mean, if someone, like the person that discovered me was going in the bathroom doing her nose, that I'm living a different life.
Yeah, it's true. It's weird. That's right. Phil Hartman did Clinton on SNL, and then he left, and then.
And so then they called me in, and they're like, "Well, you can't just do Clinton. You gotta. What can you do anything else?"
Right.
I was like, "Yeah, years ago when I was a kid, you know, I used to do this, and so here's a bunch of them." Yeah.
And you did Ted Koppel and everything else.
Yeah, I did Koppel and German, Donahue and Spain. I mean, I did anything I could think. I mean, I did everything I could think. It ended up being like 20 minutes of me doing as many voices as I could do.
Do you have a favorite impression, or is he
Al Sharpton?
Al Sharpton.
I like playing the guys. Like, to me, you know, people meet me. You know, people meet me and they're like disappointed. They're like, "You're not that funny." I'm like, "No, I'm not. It's an act. Doing an act.
It's called acting.
I'm doing a little bit. It's a routine I got. You understand? I developed this here, and I know I have a bland personality." But I like doing the colorful dudes, you know. I like doing Sharpton, Clinton, Sharpton. You want to do Sharpton?
Do a little Sharpton.
You know what? When I was a kid, I grew up in Brooklyn. I'd come home from school, and my mother would make blueberry pie. I would sneak some of the pie. She would say, "Did you sneak pie?" I said, "No, I didn't sneak pie, but I would have blueberry all over my face." That's how I feel about Republicans. I said, "Oh, no, we didn't wreck the economy, but they got blueberry all over the face." They were the ones eating the pie.
Yeah.
That's my favorite one.
Yeah, that's up there. That's great when you can do an impression and you realize you have like material like that where you can make an analogy that's like the guy.
Yeah.
Like that's something he would say.
Yeah.
You know, when Eve was in the Garden of Eden, she looked at Adam and she was not satisfied with her only choice. That's how I feel about this election.
Yeah, people buy it. People buy it. So what do you got going on now? What are you doing? You got some stuff going on? You doing?
I have a thing that I'm legally not bound to talk about that's based on the book.
Great, man.
Pretty big, and 3 failed sitcoms.
Right. Yeah.
3.
We've all been there.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, they go away fast.
I got a couple of pilots I did that I was a star of. If they ever hit the light of day, I'll be loading trucks again in 2 weeks.
Well, the weird part about mine was 2 of mine were really good.
Yeah.
They didn't, you know. That's a crapshoot.
No, it is. It's bad. That's a lousy.
Because no one, you don't realize how many people that you have to be in front of, ahead of, or beat out to get a lead in a sitcom.
Yeah, and then exactly, and then 2 million people could screw it up.
Yeah.
You could do everything right, and then a bunch. It's not like stand-up. Stand-up, at least the thing is, you're the writer, director, producer. Everything is on you. But if you're in a sitcom, man, even if you're the lead and you created it, 2 million people could screw up, and you do fine. And,
if you can walk in front of a group of strangers and make them laugh, you're making money.
Yeah, sure.
You're gonna get paid.
Yeah. Eventually.
I used to work with Billy Gardell. You know the guy from Mike and Molly.
Yeah.
He was 18 at the time. I was 32. We used to travel the Southeast doing bowling alleys and sports bars and stuff. And sometimes they wouldn't pay us. And he's a big kid, and he likes to scrap.
Yeah, good.
He's a good boy. He's a good boy.
Sometimes, you know, it's true. With some gigs, you like to have a bigger comic just because you might need them.
Well, some guys like to scrap. I didn't have that in me, but he'd go in there and go, "No, you're paying us." I was like, yeah.
All right, well, what about you on Twitter or anything? You do any of that stuff?
Nah.
No, Facebook or anything?
I don't do nothing.
Well, listen, I am real happy that you're doing well, man. I enjoy you. And
D.A. Pennebaker, you know that guy, the documentary, he just won an Oscar?
Yeah.
He's doing a documentary on this thing.
Oh, great.
That I can't talk about.
That's cool.
So that's what Caroline is about.
Yeah, I saw you down at the Comedy Cell last year, and there was a guy with a camera following you, right?
Yeah.
I talked a little bit with him.
Yeah, so they're going to film some of my sets, and they wanted to film me doing stand-up at the place where I got discovered,
That's great.
Yeah.
All right, well, the great Darrell Hammond, check him out wherever you can, and we'll be back with more of the Artie Lange Show. Thanks, Darrell.